Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This was Torrey Vent getting into part three of my marijuana-related subjects, things that I've picked up over the last 20 years or so. When I hear something about marijuana that might be a detrimental side effect, I write it down. Then I've compiled all these into a list, and I have 6 columns fully filled out and the 7th column partially filled out. But I'm going to start out with one that I experienced this weekend. I was down at McMinnville, Oregon for the UFO Festival, and they had the parade on Saturday, and so the town and the old main street and the sidewalks and the street were just filled up with people, and I was walking around playing my harmonica and entertaining the troops, so to say, and about every 10 feet somebody would pull out one of those vape sticks, and Oregon's terrible for dope. They love it like they love their parents, I guess, down there, or their favorite dog. And by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was getting high, and my eyes were getting sleepy and tired, and my hearing was getting depressed, and my voice went in the marijuana monotone from my larynx voice box being paralyzed. And then I couldn't remember the next song I wanted to play on the harmonica, and I thought, well, I better get out of this town before I get totally doped. So I walked back down the 6th Street from Maine and got in my car and headed back up 99, back up toward Portland and Olympia. And about 30 minutes out, my right hand started cramping, and my fingers were getting spastic, and they were just traveling and moving to the right and the left on their own. And what was happening, the casual dope that I'd got in the crowd was clearing up from the nerves, and the part of the body that I was using, of course, for driving was the fingers and the hands and the lower arms and the wrist area, and so that's where I was getting the reaction to the dope leaving. It was getting oxidized or metabolized away. So I sat on the right hand because it was getting painful the way the fingers were moving, and drove with my left hand for a while. And in about 5 minutes, the spasm started in my left hand. So I sat on my left hand and started driving with my right hand. And then after about 40 minutes at most, the spasms went away as the nerves that control my driving arms and hands returned to normal. The spasms went away, and I was okay for the rest of the trip. And this is what happens when you're coming down off dope, and it can be very dangerous for people that are really heavily on it. So it can happen too with athletes that do cocaine. They can be out there on the basketball court, and all of a sudden they fall down because the same effects on the drugs on my nerves in my hands and the muscles can affect the heart. And when it affects the heart, you can get fibs and flutters and spikes and stalls and skips. But you can also get stops or coronary arrest. So they've had professional basketball players fall dead on the court, and they've had to revive them. Hopefully they save most of them. And the same thing happens with the fentanyl and the methamphetamines and the overdoses. It just cuts off cuts off the nerve control center to the heart and the heart nerves and the heart muscles, and causes people to get sick or die. And so anyway, I've covered that subject. I want to get in. I'll put the rest of them up here now, and we'll go to column. We'll go to column 3 here, and let's see. First one on column 3 is job loss. This is a harmful side effect of marijuana. If you get to the point you're having fun all the time, someday you're not going to feel like going to work, or if you're out of dope and you need dope to get started in the morning and you don't think you can function on the job, you may stay home. So a lot of people that are on marijuana don't have jobs, or if they work, they're just part-time, and if they have a job, they maybe do something that's not very skillful, like washing dishes in a restaurant or something like that. And then another side effect, homelessness, of course, we know about that, and then cancers, because anything that affects the body system and the metabolism, it affects the immune system and the ability to fight cancers, and you're inhaling harmful toxic substances into your lungs, so you can get the black lung from the marijuana smoke that can turn into lung cancer, as the same as smoking tobacco or breathing industrial waste. And you have the bus stop parties. I've noticed that around a lot around Olympia. There's a bus stop between the Dollar Tree and Fred Meyer down on Slater Kinney, and if you walk past that bus stop, you better go across the street, because if there's 5 or 6 people, they're going to be passing the doobie around, and the smoke wafts all the way across, and it'll get you. And then we have the psychosis and the assaults. The people on dope get psychotic and erratic and can't control their emotions, and they get very hostile. And then we have the pseudo strokes from the marijuana, and the pseudo strokes would be like they're affecting your heart rhythm, but your arrhythmia hasn't caused your heart to stop, or you haven't had a stroke yet, but you have the effects of the pseudo strokes. You may lose feeling in your extremities, or you may lose feeling in your face or your facial nerves and stuff like that. Then the slurred speech, that's another one, of course. If you're really stoned good, you can't talk very well. And traffic delaying accidents, of course. The traffic deaths have gone from 420 to 810 from 2019 up to 2024. So the traffic deaths in Washington are doubling every 5.5 years, and all these accidents delay traffic. Lower energy, I got this one from Tamir Ozon. He's back there in Israel now. He's in the Defense Forces, and he brought this up when he was selling Take the Wrinkle Out cream here in the mall years ago. He was one of the first fellows I met when they opened that kiosk up. And then toxic breath, or THC breath waiters. My old buddy that I walk with at the mall, he's 95 now. He doesn't come in so much, but he told me he and his wife, when they go down to the restaurant, to IHOP or something, and the guy brings the coffee pot over to refill their coffee cup, he starts going, throat tickles, and I said, well, that's because he's got THC on his breath or his clothing, and marijuana, and it's paralyzing your vocal cords and and drying out your airway and turning off the mucus cell. That's why you're coughing. He said, oh, that can't be. I said, yeah, that's what it is. He says, I sure wish I hadn't have voted for that stuff. So anyway, casual bystander dopings, that's what I got down there in McMinnville. Of course, I was walking through the crowd. And in Oregon, you wouldn't believe how they love marijuana. It's crazy. It's worse than here in Olympia, and Olympia is bad. And then you have, of course, at-fault accidents. And then toxic public toilets, like up at the mall. These kids like to come in and go to the toilets down by the security office and smoke dope in there. So when you turn down that hallway, sometimes you get a good secondhand doping or a casual doping there, and pisses the security guys off. They can't understand why the people come down by their office to smoke dope in their latrines when they can get caught. Of course. Higher rents, of course, because people that are on dope, common dope, marijuana, often don't pay the rent or get behind on the rent. They buy dope before they pay the rent, and they have to be kicked out. So the landlords have to raise the rent. People on dope break things just accidentally. They can't live in a house without destroying part of it. That's from my experience being a landlord for 40 years, and higher car insurance, of course. My car insurance from 2019 at the beginning of the pandemic was about $250 for 6 months. Now it's $785, maybe $790. So somebody's got to pay for all these accidents, and the insurance company can't eat it all. Then we have car rollaways. That's when people park the car. That happens in the mall parking lot about once a month. Somebody parks their car and they're on dope, and they don't remember to set the handbrake or they don't put it in park, and the damn wind comes by and the car starts rolling and rolls across the parking lot and hits a lamppost or something. So, and then THC toxic clothing. Yes, I got a friend I walk with, and he swears he keeps his clothing in plastic bags. But I said, well, if you got it in the house and you smoke dope in your little camp trailer where you live, your clothing is toxic. Cause I can feel it when I walk with him. Pretty soon I can't hear him because it numbs my ears, and it's got it on his clothing. But after we walk a couple of loops in the mall and he gets aired out a little bit, then I can start to hear him again. So, driving citations, sure, you're gonna run. You're not gonna see stop signs. You're gonna run them, and if you're lucky enough to live through them, you're gonna either be going too slow and trying to hide in plain view, or you're going too fast, or swinging too wide on corners because you wait too late to start. And then road death and injury, we covered that one. Not locking up your car, not locking up your house, forgetting to do things. When I get rental units back that have had common dopers in them, they have to be cleaned multiple times. The detail, I had one, it took me 13 months to get it cleaned. I had it cleaned professionally 3 times, and then the last time I went in and I tried to stay an hour without getting casually doped, and it was still toxic. So the last time I cleaned it myself, for free, of course, because I do work at no cost to the to the unit, or no cost to the business. Flaccid muscles, yes, people that smoke marijuana are often very soft. Their muscles don't develop very well, and they don't exercise much. School dropouts for sure. Most kids that start smoking dope in the home when they're young, smoking daddy's swag or whatever, grow up in a marijuana household, the majority will never graduate from high school. So, then THC on the breath of customer service clerks. We get that. Of course, I told you about the guy in the store down at the mall that doped me so bad I couldn't hear him. It knocked about 20 decibels of hearing off my ears, and I told him about it too. So, slower reaction time, for sure. You do things slower, you move slower, you think slower, your reaction time while driving is slower. Missed work days, of course. People that work in the marijuana industry have, because they're exposed to it all the time, they have more slips, and falls, and they cost the state industrial insurance a lot for the time off and the injuries they get in the marijuana industry, prepping dope for the rest of us here. Toxic memory care workers, I can give you an example. I used to get called on by the social directors at the memory care centers in Olympia to go out and bring my guitar and take requests from the people that were having memory care or Alzheimer's problems or whatever, because I know a lot of old songs. Most of the famous old songs I know, and I had their song list. But those attendants, orderlies in the memory care place, they would go out and back and smoke dope, and then they would come back with that shit on their clothes and on their breath, and those people that already had Alzheimer's would be further knocked down, have their memory system destroyed by the dope that was on the memory care workers. But it's real common in people that have low menial jobs to smoke dope. When they're not working, they're smoking dope for a living. Government greed, of course. You can say that the reason that the state governments and some of the senators and congressmen back in Washington are pushing for dope is because all they can see is the tax money that gets off of it. And here in Washington, the dope is sold legally through the state distribution channel stores that are sanctioned or by the state. The state gets 48% of whatever the sale gross is. So it's a $2 billion industry in Washington. Okay, and depressed hearing, I told you about that. I can't walk with my friend without losing my hearing. I just let him talk and nod my head like I can understand what he's saying. I haven't been around anybody on dope today, and I'm hearing real good. So, poor grades in school, of course, because you'll never go beyond 6th grade level in math. because you can't multitask if you're on dope. And motel rooms where the people smoke dope in the motel rooms, you have THC toxic motel rooms, so that's why I never stay in a motel anyway. I always sleep in the car, but for THC drug toxic motel rooms and bed bugs, there's a big nationwide bed bug epidemic now, so you don't want to stay in a hotel. Stay in your car if you can. Soulless politicians, anything for $1, they'll give you dope and tell you they're doing you a favor when they make it legal. They're really not. And then, of course, you're going to miss doctor's appointments and dental appointments and appointments or wherever you're supposed to be because you can't remember anything if you don't write it down. And if you write it down, you forget where you put it after you wrote it down. Vehicular assaults, if you're in a psychotic or paranoid state and you're driving a car, you're going to be susceptible to road rage. You're going to think everybody else is trying to kill you out there, so you're going to be more apt to commit a vehicular assault, either purposely or accidental. And then we have scofflaw attorney generals like the attorney generals of Washington and all the states that have legalized marijuana. They will get up and they will sue the federal government anytime the federal government tries to outlaw or get rid of their legalized dope. So that will include this. That'll be the end of this video. Thank you for listening. We'll get another one out here in a few days. This is Torrey Vent. Adios amigos, auf Wiedersehen.